Hello everyone, welcome back to Bonsai Expression. I'm Christoph and today I'm looking at a Cotoneaster I completely forgot I had. It's just been sat at the back and, well, it's overgrown. I mean, look at it. And it's flat on top because it's done what it naturally wants to do. I originally wired it, I put some shape into it, and then it's just been sat flat against the wall, so it's flat like this. It's had nothing grown here, and then it's all in one side. And because of that, it's been neglected. I don't really like the look of it. Unfortunately, I've started some of the work. It's got a nice pad here, it's got a nice pad here, and then the rest of it, well, it's awful. So I've had a quick look of it off camera before I decided to make this video, and I can only decide one option. Let me spin you on the camera, put you on the bench, and I'll show you what I've decided to do with it. So firstly, I decided to get rid of some of these weeds just at the bottom, just so I can see the bottom of the trunk and see what actually I'm working with. And it's got plenty of moss in here as well. And I've got two little Cotoneasters as well growing at the bottom. Now I don't know if they're coming from the trunk or if I've planted two cuttings and we've got two little stems growing, but they're just at the bottom over here. So I'll try not to disturb them and I'll get rid of these weeds. Right, that's much better. So you can see the tree in all its glory just there. Right, so as I said, I did some wiring. Wow, no idea how long ago it was now, because I've had this one quite a while. So it comes up, I've wired it, and you can see I put some basic S shape, and the wire was only up to about here. So this rest of the tree has naturally grown like this, and this back section, I'll just show you, has just done its own thing, and it's grown on top of each other. Now I don't want that. What I do want is these lower pads. I want to work around these. So if I zoom you in a little bit, I'm going to work around these pads. So first things first, I'm going to trim up these pads and I'll show you what I intend to do. So I've had some sort of trim there prior. So if I just take these out, I neaten this up. I'm just going to come in trim these pads down. Start by getting rid of the ones growing upwards. Anything growing back on itself. There we go, that'll do for the time being. Okay, so the pads look relatively nice already. And I'm going to start with those. Which means I'm starting with these pads here, which are in a nice position. Let's take that out. I'm starting with this pad here, and I'm starting with this pad here. I've already got a really nice shape. So the tree leans back, even if if I lean it on this sort of angle here, I've got a nice pad here, a nice pad here, which means this one here is too low. Take out, let's take that out, and that. Anything on this side here is going to be a parallel branch, so I'm going to start removing up to this section here. I don't want anything on the curve, so I'm going to start taking them out just there. Now, there's my tree so far. So the bottom half of the tree, where we started wiring to, is really nice. I've got one pad, I've got another pad, yet I've got a parallel pad here, which is called a step. And that is not something I would like. Now, I could just go ahead and remove it. Completely, but I'm not going to, because my idea, this section is too long. So, I think I've tried my best to try and wire this into some sort of shape, and it's just not going anywhere. Now it seems drastic, but I'm just going to go and do this. I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut here. I'm going to lose all that part of my tree. I'm going to start growing that as my leader. I'm going to start that as my tree. Nice and easy. I'm going to start again. Might seem drastic, but look at that. I've got a really nice beginner's tree already. 2 pads started, top section of my tree. Yes, it's a drastic cut. I could potentially lose that, but if it doesn't, it's going to sprout back and we'll start again. Something new here. This is potentially long. It's going to grow loads of new shoots. And let's be honest, the rest of that tree is just stuff we don't want and we don't need. Looking back on this section here, I can now see that this is actually another branch in there, so we need to clean that out. So there we go. Can I clean this cut up any better? Now, such a big cut, I will use cut paste. I'll do that. This is how much I've cut off. Now that is obviously bigger than the tree. I can make cuttings with it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But that's going to go in the to-bin list in the pot, and I'll start my tree from there. Really nice, potentially nice tree to start with. And we can go in if we want to. We can actually neaten this a little bit better. So we've got this section here that grows up and take out. There we go. And I'm happy with that. I'm just going to throw some cut paste on that off camera, and then we'll do a talk about it. The Cotoneaster. So here it is. I put a bit of cut paste on the top, as you can see, just to seal that wound and help it as best to recover and make sure this top section does not die off. So as you can see, it's got some nice bend in it, and just on this angle you can see the actual curvature, and when I pot it up it's probably going to sit somewhere there like that. So there we go. Now I want to explain myself why I cut all that top section off. I didn't do it in great detail when I did it. I just said I looked at it off camera. Now I'll show you. But first things first, I want to say, if you've got something like this, a big tree, don't be scared to make a drastic cut and start something completely from scratch, because look at the results. The results speak for themselves. I've got myself a quite quaint little tree there already in the making, and then in future this is going to be a lovely little developed tree. So I've already got 2 pads developed from previous work I've done on it. Like, because of my neglect, I've had to go in and cut that top off. Now I'll show you why, but just look at it, it's already there. Just got to grow this top in. I've got to develop this top, the rest of the tree will come in. We'll talk about it a bit more. So the top I took off, I'll show you the extent of what it was. So it grew up against the polytunnel greenhouse wall. So this is the wall here. So it's flat, it's got nothing on it, it's completely flat, as you can see. So all the growth is flat. So on this side, it's all just grew flat against the wall. So if I wanted to bring anything in, I'd have to wire it like this, and then even then it's coming from the other side, which obviously it's not going to make a nice looking tree. It's everything is coming from in the crotches, so I'm going to have to do a lot of cutting, which, let's face it, it's bonsai. Sorry, it's come out. It's bonsai. We're not really bothered too much about that. But just look at the actual growth. It's thick here. It comes up. It's got some nice movement, but then it goes across, crosses itself. The movement itself as well, it's got really nice movement, but it's everywhere and it's intertwined. It comes up, it comes across. I've got this one. They overlap each other. And when it was on top of itself, I tried to bend it and move it to see what sort of shape I could rearrange it back into, and whether it was malleable enough to reposition it into something, a different sort of shape with the movement I already had into it. And I just couldn't. Not to the satisfactory shape and position I get to make a nice looking tree. My only option was chop it and start again. And I'm not scared to do that, because that's what bonsai is about. It's about bringing your influence into a tree. And I don't mind doing that either. So, going back to the drawing board, my mistake has led to that. So, be vigilant. Keep an eye on your trees. My laziness has caused this. But because I've been lazy, I've started again, and I've got half a nice tree and half I've now got to redevelop. So all this is intertwined. As you can see, I've got to pull it apart. The more I pull and try and move, I've got this one here, if you can see it on camera, this one, can you see it, this one here. As I'm moving it, it's now trying to snap. So if I'm trying to bend that, it's now snapping. So if I'm wiring it and bending it, it's going to snap. Now I could take it out, but then it leaves. So if I snip this, let me just snip it out of place. So if I snip this one out of place, it then opens up a big gap here in the tree. And then when we had that other bend before, one down and then down, we would have had 2 ladder branches, which I said, and then on top of it I would have had this one, which would have been a 3rd ladder branch. So the whole tree had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Basically it was just one mistake after another mistake continuously, and it was just harder to work with. So it would have been just cut, and it's just easier in the end to start the tree over again. By starting over again, you get yourself a smaller tree. Half the tree, the lower tree, started in development, which we did, and we've got ourselves a nice little tree, which what we've got to do is grow the top section, develop this, and we've got a small tree rather than something we were going to grow eventually into something nice and big. Now we've got ourselves a smaller tree, which if we just grow this section correctly, Hopefully something lower down will grow as well, and we can get ourselves a couple of back branches. The proportions will be correct because your lower branches should be thicker than your higher ones anyways. Everything will be proportionally correct and the tree will develop correctly. Later on, we've just got to look at the root system, which Cotoneasters are famously for having mass amounts of roots, so we should be all right. So I've just got to work on the root system in the future then. But overall, generally pleased. Just do a bit of looking after, and I say, should be a good tree. So happy with that. If you're happy with this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because you know what, we're going to get a good tree out of this one. So again, please like if you like this one, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day, guys. See you later.